Okay, this is the family's trip to Japan. So it's me, Penelope or the Kraken, plus my son and my daughter and their partners. And we've just arrived in Japan and we went to the local hotel at the airport and picked up a car, and this is going to be a driving trip. Of course, we had to explore the dunnies, like the first thing that we get off the plane, have a look at the dunnies, which lived up to their expectations. And then we went straight to vending machines and a 7-Eleven because, you know, we're hitting all the cultural highlights. This trip is different than what we would normally do because obviously we do bicycles and use a lot of public transport. But this is mainly for the kids. The kids mainly planned it. So we're doing what they want to do.
It's too lazy. Hi. Oh my god, I'm posing for you.
And that involves going to the big cities and doing quite a lot of driving. This is our first accommodation of the trip that's not a hotel, and almost all the accommodation we tried to get, if it was outside the cities, were 3-bedroom houses. One of the interesting things is we found in all the houses that you get 2 traditional like Western type bedrooms, which you're about to see the 2 bedrooms upstairs, but you'd also get a tatami room, and that was counted as the 3rd bedroom. So, you know, for us we thought there'd be 3 separate bedrooms, but really there's 2 bedrooms and a tatami room, which is also like the living space. So in most places, PJ and I stayed in the tatami room. During this trip, we went to a lot of 7-Elevens, and 7-Eleven's really cheap and everything like that, and you can get a lot of meals there all the time. But we also went to these towns and we tried to eat in the little towns. One thing I would say about Japan is it's very clean, so you can't complain about the cleanliness. And it's, you know, very green and pretty once you get out of the cities. If you were going to do a cycle trip here, it's also very, very hilly and quite steep hills. This gives you an example of one of the meals. When we didn't go to 7-Elevens like this one, we would usually have, you know, middle of the range meals, and they were always great, you know. So this is the lake near our second night's accommodation, and this queue is for getting your photo taken at one of these gates overlooking the lake. So when you see the photos online, you think, okay, people just taking this photo, but there's like a 30-minute wait to get your turn in. And of course the kids, they wanted to do the wait, they wanted to get the photos. So there's several little towns scattered along the lake, and we're in one of the tourist ones. You could catch a boat across, which we're about to do, but it was lovely. There's a really brilliant fishing shop here, and we saw a lot of people fishing for carp. We're in Japan in a place called Hakone, almost the same. And so we're catching an authentic pirate ship that's made out of steel. It's got 3 masts, all steel masts, and it's got a lot of holes cut into it. But there's cannons everywhere, and I don't think it's very authentic. There's a lift there. We're up on the deck. It's pretty full, and it was $40 to get a return trip with a cable car ride on it. So we're having a look around. It's very beautiful here, very green, very lush. The cascading emerald green forests come right down into the water, and it's really lovely.
rice cake, red bean and mugwort.
One of the interesting things about this is there was also a sulfur mine at the top of here. That was not, it was defunct now, but you could still see the workings, and it only just closed.
And stamp your little booklet, or in my case, I just stamped my ticket.
That is so cool.
You're going to
electric
cars, they're all going to be electric.
It's yellow.
That's why there's all the vents.
I am.
Oh my god, you go straight over the top next. That's terrible.
Yeah, here's something that we don't see much in Australia, because we have the only active volcanoes we have are off down near Antarctica, but we have some dormant ones. But here they have run into a building if there's if the volcano goes off, which I'll be running, but there'll be something running down my leg as well.
Steam. You can see it talks about the bathing.
The one that's really corrosive to veins. Just rocks into germ veins. Yeah, but there's also a mica on there.
The stamps look like little microscopes, which is kind of fitting. Tickets cost 100 yen each.
What colour? Put on sweater weather. We slept on in the Japanese room for 2 nights on the floor on the tatame, and it was really good, you know, and it's very wet and there's so much water. Like, it's really amazing for Australians to see so much water everywhere. Like, it's just running everywhere, and a lot of the drains have just got like full bore water going all the time. And not only is it water, but it's hot water from the geothermal springs. You know, it's just amazing to see, you know, like. So long.
So we've got it all to ourselves.
Why are we here, Hamish, though? Why have you brought us here?
PewDiePie recommended
Yeah, cutie pie.
Beauty pie.
Or cutie pie, or whatever it is. So we're going into the museum now. The first thing you do is go on this escalator down, and it was 2,000 yen, so it was $20 Australian approximately at the current exchange rate to go into this museum, which looks very big. It's open outside, and you know, we're in for an adventure.
Now, I like this open air museum, but the only reason we're there is because some guy named Cutie Pie went there and said it was a good place to go. So I don't know who this Cutie Pie guy is, but you know, the kids were like, oh, we've got to go there because Cutie Pie went there. And we went, it was great, I really liked it. They wouldn't let you fish for the carp.
What are you doing, Charlie?
I'm sitting in the water because I thought, oh, is it warm? And it is, it's warm, the water. Well, as an intellectual, I feel my intellectual journey is just, expanding and expanding as I go to the Picasso Museum and I look at stuff I don't understand, and I look very thoughtful at it and give the impression I understand it. But there's quite a scope of work there, and it's impressive to see a person who's had the same career for his entire life and dies with the scalpel in his hand.
Charlie bought Ray-Bans.
I quickly lost these Ray-Bans. And look at this, the petrol stations look like you need a degree.
So we're just checking into our hotel for the evening, which is a cabin or something, and there's a gift shop in reception, which is super cute.
There's all different ones. There's everything's everywhere. See, there's like the ones
That's
up
so
there.
beautiful.
See this one here? See, they've got the cut. They cut it off so it shows you inside. I don't know what it is, but
Oh, that looks like
they had
red
these
beans.
biscuits at the thing, but they were like in a bag rather than individually wrapped like this one.
Naughty
Look at
dog.
this. Look, they got a fat man's face on the front. And look,
Adventures of a Fat Man Biscuit Edition.
and then they got the things up there. Like,
Yeah.
So we're staying here, and this was like a snow place, and this accommodation was very cheap because it was summer, and it was so beautiful, and we all got our own room. And even though this looks lovely with all the bare wood and the big beams and everything, and the bath downstairs, out of the three places, this was by far the worst of the three. And it was lovely, so the other ones had even bigger baths that overlooked like the greenery and everything like that, and were like natural rock pools, or made to look like natural rock pools, where ours was more like a plunge pool, where I spent quite a lot of time in that bath, never ending hot water. But the other ones were a lot nicer, and also well with under $100 a night Australian.
Downstairs, have a bath. You can see the washing station there. And the bath has thermal springs water.
You can see the views, it was like perfect, and the ski slopes weren't very far from here. There was a big traditional hotel nearby, but these like apartments were the same price as staying in the hotel, so I don't really understand how that works. But these look like some sort of timeshare arrangement, and there was probably 100 of these like apartments, and they all were slightly different. A lot of driving on this trip, and I know there's very fast trains, but driving takes a long time in Japan, longer than you'd think, to cover distances that would take an hour in Australia. So we went to this historic village that's it supposedly shows life from hundreds of years ago, and it was fantastic. It was just like, people still live there, but it was set up like a tourist area, and it was very interesting. Yeah, I'm a fat bastard. I'm not feeling most of this Japanese.
It's a little bit small
stuff.
for you, Charles.
I'm just going to break
one
it,
ass cheek.
so I'm not going to do it. We did actually see houses like this that weren't in historical villages, but not very many of them. It was lovely walking around and seeing how people used to live.
Hey, there's Charlie. Okay. So how much is entry?
$3 basically, so 300 yen. Beans in the tree.
We got to try these musical instruments. It's very difficult. So paid parking really means business here. If you don't pay, there is no way you're getting your vehicle off that.
I mean, this trip's been unusual for us because we'd usually cycle, and from what I've seen so far, Japan doesn't have that much cycle infrastructure. But maybe I'm just not seeing it, because you come across these bicycle parking stations which got quite a few bikes, which makes you think there is cycling infrastructure, we're just not seeing it.
This is the entry, and walking through into Japanese room. Here we have the kitchen. Coming upstairs.
More accommodation, 2 bedrooms upstairs, and the tatami room downstairs again.
Bedroom.
Beautiful and clean. This is all budget accommodation. I mean, we never paid a lot for accommodation while we were here.
So Charlie and I will probably sleep on the tatami. We have a little washing machine. Here is the bathroom. So traditionally you wash yourself first, sitting on this stool, and the water drains into there. And then you can have a bath after you scrub yourself.
PJ made us walk a long way to go to a vegan restaurant, which was interesting, but the food was not great. Well, you know, it's probably great for Japan, but for our Western tastes, it was a bit strange. And then we walked back along the river. It was very romantic. Hold hands, whisper sweet nothings, watch the sun go down, looked at chipmunks. Kids really love this sort of thing, you know, lots of shopping, lots of like eating, and it's all different enough that it feels like a cultural shock. You know, to me it's just the built environment again, which I'd prefer to be out in the countryside.
This is a visitor information centre and rest area where you can just sit down and relax with free Wi-Fi. I think this bicycle has an umbrella stand. See? There's a little latch and it has a fitting there. You can put the brolly in and cycle along without getting wet.
PJ bought some fabric for her mum. She's just showing it off here. Ramen, that's the name of the stuff. We ate a lot of ramen on this trip.
We just stopped for lunch, and we had nice vegan noodles, but it was a really tiny restaurant. So the kids went off to find somewhere else, and they've gone to some shop that's got anime in it, which I've got no interest. So I'm an old fuddy-duddy. So now we've come to a shrine that just happens to be right near the car. That's where we're parked. And it just looks beautiful. This is more my speed than anime. There's 2 bedrooms upstairs and there's a tatami room down here. Okay, I'm recording a video. This is in Kyoto, and that building there, which is very beautiful, and there's a lot of people here, is all gold leaf, and there's this beautiful lake that goes across this way. Okay, but there is a lot of tourists here. Lots and lots. It was 500 yen to get in here, or $5, and it seems very popular. There's Zachary, and I'm trying to get a photo of him in front of the pergola. This is closer to the pavilion, and you can see these beautiful trees that are around here. Look like bonsais in their own right. And then you look out, each of the little islands has got a little tree sitting on it, which is really pretty. Again, there's a lot of tourists here. I mean, I'm a tourist, so I shouldn't complain. But it is kind of like hard to enjoy the serenity. There's so many tourists. It's really amazing that everything you see here, all you can see is trees, and if you go maybe 100 meters that way, you're in the middle of the city. And even the mountains behind this are all treed. You can't see a single other building other than the palace complex. So you get good luck if you can get the money into the hole. It looks like a lot of people aren't very good at getting it into the hole. I'm sure they get some luck. Anyway, it's interesting. Oh, almost. So close, here we go. Almost. There's an upper lake as well with a little island in the middle. And there's something sacred about the island, but I don't quite know what it is. And there's another one of these little bowls. I got 2 out of 3 for the other bowl, but it was a lot bigger. I don't think this one looks as easy. So I'm not going to try. There's a better view of the upper lake. It's very pretty. Very tranquil. After you come out past the second lake, you're at the exit, which seems to be an old temple complex, which is given over to a gift shop and a temple. So it was not a very long walk. You just walk through and you go past the 2 lakes and the pergola and the temple complex, and then you're out. So it's very quick, probably half an hour to do it, from finding a park to getting back. Well, again, lots and lots of tourists, but this is the bamboo forest, so there's bamboo as far as the eye can see. And you know, it's quite pleasant. And you can hear the click-clacking of the bamboo as the wind whishes through it. You know, it's quite pleasant. And there's Hamish and Caitlin. So it's very nice. So this is the camping section of just like a department store in Japan. Not a really big department store, just one we stopped to have lunch at. And there's just so much camping gear here. It's like there's heaps and heaps of it. This is the closed section, but there's cooking, tents, seats, everything. You know, so much variety. Like there's just the sporks, like, and I would take it there's probably more sporks everywhere else. So, and then there's see there's more sporks in there, and there's just all this. This is the cooking section, and there's just oodles of it on both sides of me. So everything you could possibly want for camping is something at the store. It's all superb quality, you know. And they're really good. Coming in, the prices seem really reasonable as well. And look here, look, these are the chairs for camping, you know, like normally you get like 1 or 2 sorts. There's like all these little ultralight ones here, and you get all these ones down here, ultralight and more ones. And then there's more over on the other side as well. So if you go over here, there's more over here. And then there's more chairs down there, like just rows and rows of them. And then there's all the tents are over the other side. I won't go there, but you know, for cooking and lights, there's just lots. There's fire makers. It's the whole section of fire makers. Then there's wooden stoves, you know, solid wood stoves and pellet stoves. So there's a whole aisle of them. You know what I mean? And then if you go down here, they've got a whole cabinet full of alcohol stoves, so all different alcohol stoves. Which truthfully I thought there was only like 2 different sorts of alcohol stoves. And then there's 2 rows of different gas stoves. So, you know, like the last place we went, there was a choice of 2 when we bought our gas stove. Here there's a choice of like maybe 100. Anyway, very interesting. Hammocks, tents, soft furnishings, sleeping bags, mattresses, everything. Lots of selection. Look at the fence here. It's all made out of stone, and it looks like, it doesn't look jointed, it looks like they made it out of a single piece of stone. Might be jointed, but you can't see them. Oh yeah, it's jointed. So anyway, this is called the 1,000 Gate, and there's a lot of people here, as you can see. And the gates are these ones here, those big red things, and there's over 1,000 supposedly. There's no cost to get in here, and it's really nice and clean, but there's a lot of people. This is our last visit for today. It's really lovely to see the people in the komodos and everything. Very nice young women. You can't call them girls or you get in trouble. At least I get in trouble. Because these are all Nazis, these ones. Oh, I can't use the word Nazi either, I get in trouble there. So anyway, as we can see, I'm always hard done by. Okay, so this is the start of the 1,000 Gates. So as you can see, there's lots of gates. It's kind of really cool. It'd be especially cool if you're here by yourself. But at the moment, I'm not a very good social media person. I'm here with like 10,000 other people. But still, that's got a charm of its own as well. Here comes the Philistines, you know, coming out of the red gates. There's Zach, Hamish, Megan, Caitlin.
So which way's the picture away?
And then we're going into these little ones, see? So there's little ones. On the right maybe. On the right. There's a lot more. These are very small, but there's a lot of them. I mean a lot of them. They're right, there's way more than 1,000. There's way more than 1,000.
There's actually only 960 Dad.
So this is the outside, you know, looking back. And these are the medium-sized ones. So not the really big ones, not the really small ones, but the medium-sized ones. And they're quite pretty, you know, and then you can see them sort of disappearing up the hill. I'll move over so it looks better. There you go. And there's forest all around it. Camphor oils, actually. And it says there's monkeys here. Monkeys! Monkeys, we've got to be quiet or the monkeys will come and get us. Monkeys! So we're up in the mountains now, and there's, you know, there's still heaps of the big ones. But now there's these little altars everywhere. The little tiny ones. This lady's in front for scale, so they're very small. She couldn't fit through them. Her life depended on it. And nobody could really. So there's over there, and there's a cat, and the man's feeding the cat, which is very nice. And then there's these dogs, and they put money on the dog's head. See over here? Hamish.
Just bully him so it does something about it.
No, that didn't work when he was young. I suggest it probably won't work now. We're up on one of the lookouts on the way to the top of the mountain at the 1,000 Gates. There's a lot more than 1,000 gates. Here comes there's Meggie.
My socks are under my heels.
There's Hamish. There's Caitlin.
Hamish might need a 5-minute break.
We're halfway up the mountain now, and we're waiting for the sunset. I don't think this will work very well, but you know, we walked up to the top of the mountain. The kids took the easy way up. I took the long way up.
Oh, sure.
You know, and then they tried to bullshit me with one's not as steep as the other.
He took an elevator. There was an escalator on his side.
Useless people. There they are.
His genetic offspring, by the way.
And there's Megzy trying to look beautiful. And Zachary's behind me, being annoying. But you know, the sky's beginning to wash out. It's beginning to look really nice. This is a big city, but you can see Osaka in the distance.
I think the sun's going back.
So it's bigger.
So there's the front door. We are in Osaka. And can you see there's the carpet where the carpet meets the tatame? And then coming inside, we've got the bed on the tatame floor. And in here, there's the bathroom. Pretty cool.
This is the Japanese library in Osaka, and we're so spoilt in Australia, you have no idea. Like a lot of places where you go to the libraries, they're really trapped in the 50s, and this one looks like it's in the 50s and looks very basic. It's the main library.
If you're collecting stamps, that's a great stamp here too. This is like almost original. It's really old school. There's some sort of community installation here, and then you come in through, and Charlie's found some sort of...
I think it's very textual art, and it explains the juxtaposition between the dark and the light, you know, and cast against the post-industrial landscape of the modern city and the heartache that we all go through navigating the daily trials and tribulations of this modern world. And it harkens back to a more simple time where we related in the countryside and we were hunter and gatherers. And you can see this with the deep sort of insurrection that this puts up inside of you. You know, it's at war, and it like constitutes a talking point where we can all relate to.
You can see how it's very basic, the shelving and everything. This show was good for PJ. She was mystified because, you know, it's at a level that she could understand and comprehend. I did help her with some of the bigger words on the screen, but, you know, it was good for her.
Upstairs, you'll find the memorial room, which is open to the public for viewing. The furniture is really beautiful. Really don't like cyclists in this city. We're at a camping store and they sell supplies for open air tea ceremonies.
We picked the day for it. We've come to Osaka Castle Park in Osaka, and it's got a lot of liquid sunshine. We just caught a taxi here. It was really adorable. The man jumped out. He's wearing a little peaked hat and everything, and he's got like little gloves on and everything, and he jumps out and he opens the door from the outside and then takes your umbrella, opens your umbrella, waits until you get out of the car, then does the same with Penelope. So it's lovely. So we're just walking in, and you can see the castle walls. It looks very intimidating and big, but completely different than the English castles we've been going to. Some of the stones in this castle are like absolutely huge. I mean, look at this one here. That's a stone, and there's heaps of them like this. This is not even the biggest one in the castle, and that's got to be like, I don't know, fucking big. Okay, this is the largest stone in the castle. It weighs approximately 108 tons. And remember, they moved all these here, and there's heaps of them, yeah, by manual labour. Like, this was in the 16th century. So, you know, it's amazing. And we're really high up here, so they would have had to move it uphill to get it here. It's amazing. Like, it just boggles the mind.
It's pouring with rain. It's absolutely pouring with rain. And the line is still quite long. There's looking to be about a 20-minute wait to get in. Not gonna do it.
So this is a good example. The kids didn't come to Osaka Castle, they went shopping instead. Yeah, Osaka Castle wasn't a have to do for the children. But Studio Ghibli, on the other hand, was a must do. We had to go to Studio Ghibli, which, you know, for me, between the two and cultural significance and all that sort of stuff, I feel Osaka Castle is probably a bit higher up in cartoons, but like, you know, I'm an old fuddy-duddy. It was interesting, it was kind of fun, you know, you had to get into the spirit of it. I have no idea why we're jumping up like this. I mean, I suppose they're trying to take photos that make us look like we are flying. You know, they had How's Moving Castle and they had these other things, but it's kind of lost on me. A lot of nice walking and beautiful gardens, quite a lot of stuff to look at, but it was great to get to our accommodation. This is when we're driving back to Tokyo, and we just stayed here for the one night. And the accommodation was beautiful, it was just really good. We got there, it was dark because we spent a lot of time, and we all just sort of crashed. The next day I got up and walked up the road, and we're in this really nondescript town. There's this beautiful, beautiful garden temple that, you know, we kept on tripping over these things, like the other temple in the town, that, you know, not touristy at all, but they're just so lovely, and I think they're the real spirit of Japan. When you go to the tourist places, yeah, there's lots and lots of people, and you'd think, is this more, you know, for the tourists or for the locals? But you know, this temple that we're going into now is certainly, it's like the local church, and there was water features and water running and stone statues and things like that, and just absolutely lovely. And we were the only people there. Like, it was just like walking around the local church in Australia, you know, unless you're there when the service is on, nobody's there. I went there first, and then I went back and got the Kraken. The kids weren't interested. So we went to Tokyo, and it was really good, and then we flew out. So we were there for 3 weeks, and it was really interesting, very different than the trips that we would normally do, but the kids loved it.